right, yay. So we have on Juan Francisco, who is a medium, tarot card reader, and the host of the podcast Third Eyesight, which I was like, what a catchy freaking name. And also apparently a 9-to-5 worker. So basically does it all. Cheers to you. Very proud of you. I've listened to a few of your episodes, definitely did the stalking of Instagram as I do for everyone that I'm going to interview. And I just love the content you put out and like the energy behind it, you know, because I could feel your intention. So just wanted to say welcome.
Thank you so much. And listen, I as a podcast host, I also do the stalking. That's our job as a podcast host. So appreciate it, totally get it. But no, I'm so excited to join you.
Yay, thank you. So when I was reading up on your website, I read a bit about how in your childhood you had kind of like, you know, sparks of spirits coming in and stuff like that. But I want to know how that kind of got reintroduced to you, because I feel like for a lot of kids, they may experience, you know, seeing ghosts or seeing spirits or talking to the other side. And oftentimes by our parents or caregivers, we hear, that's not true, I don't see anyone. And we're definitely shunned and kind of like, you know, sounding like we're crazy. So how did it kind of flow back into your life?
Yeah, so I think as a kid, what's funny is now looking back, the things that I thought were my imagination, I'm now thinking maybe that was somebody talking to me or giving me a symbol. So as a kid, I remember seeing images of random people in my head. Like, it's like when you have a memory that, if you've ever experienced this or someone listening has, like a memory comes up, but it's not your memory. It's like, yes, where did that come from? And who is that person I'm seeing in that memory? So I would see things like that as a kid. One time, my aunt is living, my dad's sister, but as a child, I one time heard her, so like her voice calling out my name, and she lives across the country. Like weird things like that that I can't really explain. I did have a couple run-ins with the supernatural in the first or the second house we lived in as a family, like a light turning on by itself when I was the only one standing in front of it, running to my parents scared. So as a kid, my parents are really open about, you know, your uncle who passed is with you and your grandmother's with you and they're looking out for you and they're your angels. So there was a lot of openness around spirituality and a more like progressive take on spirituality. Like we weren't a very religious family, even though we were sort of Catholic. And so I grew up with that foundation, and that's how it started for me. Just like having these experiences, thinking they were just my imagination, and also being in a family where we were allowed to talk about. There were so many stories in my family about people on the other side appearing to a family member. So it was a pretty safe space to talk about these things.
Yeah. Oh my goodness, I love that, because it's so natural. Like when you do step into this world and like these things start coming to you, you realize how natural it is, and it isn't scary, and it isn't this like taboo thing that we can't talk about. It's like, oh, of course they're with us because energy doesn't die, duh.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't seem to not make sense, or yeah, whatever.
Yeah, it's normal. It's normal. Yeah,
exactly. So do you have like a history in your family, like grandparents and stuff like that have had experiences like you, or were in like kind of your profession?
A little bit. It's like it's on my dad's side. Usually the people talk about the mother's side. In this case, from what I know, it's my dad's side. My great-grandfather on my dad's side, he was known to give a lot of predictions. Like he would tell my dad things about his own life when he was 7 or 8, and they would come true at 23 when my dad was 23. Just like details about where he would end up in life, what kind of line of work. So there's that. And then my father seem to skip the generation because my grandparents didn't seem to express any of this stuff. My father, though, he self-taught / had a mentor who taught him how to read tarot cards at a very young age, and he was reading cards until my toddler / preteen years, like for people on the phone. And he also has had a lot of dreams where people have come to him. It's a little bit, I mean, it's a little sad, but people, when a lot of folks in his family have passed, the night before, they'll come to him in a dream to say goodbye. Oh, wow. And then he'll learn the next day that they've passed. And so there's that. My dad and my mom, she did not grow up very spiritual in her family, but in her adulthood, after it seems like after meeting my dad was kind of the catalyst. Things started
Mhm.
happening to her too.
Yeah.
Um, and then I have a sibling and they've experienced things. I mean, I don't see spirit when I channel. And I've seen spirit once or twice in my life where I see something in front of me, like a figure. Um, my sibling, on the other hand, they've seen a lot. And
Mhm.
sometimes I'm a little tad bit envious, but I know it's also been really hard for them to accept that they've experienced those things because it actually really spooked them a lot.
Yeah.
So there's something in the family, I think because of our openness. That's the
Yeah.
difference. We're open as a family and we know these things exist. Whether we want to accept them in or we're scared of them or not, that's really up to the individual person. But there's definitely like I don't know if it's generational. I don't know if it's genetic to be a
Mhm.
medium or to be psychic, but there's obviously some type of openness down the line of my father's side of the family that has allowed someone like me to feel comfortable
Mhm.
talking about this stuff with my family. My family knows I do this stuff. I talk to them about it all the time.
I love it. I love it. There were two things that I wanted to unpack there. One of them was I don't read tarot. I'm so interested in it, and I give you guys so much credit because I feel the energy flowing through you guys when I'm like getting a reading. But you talked about a mentor, so just from like a personal like question, how do you learn it? Like, I know some people like try to learn online and stuff like that, but what do you think is like best? Honestly,
Yeah,
I
I
just
don't
don't understand it.
Yeah, no, listen, tarot seems at first very daunting and intimidating. I'll admit that. I did not learn it from somebody else. I did learn it through reading a book. Some people
Okay.
will say don't read any book, just like grab the cards, see what comes to you. I just was very interested, just the art is beautiful, and I was interested in like what was the intention behind the drawings and what did they want to
Mhm.
portray. So I did read a book or two on what the meaning of each card is. But then once I did that one run through of the cards, I put that aside and thought, okay, now I know the foundation. I may not memorize all of it because I don't for each
Uh-huh.
card, but I at least have an idea. And so now let me start practicing readings with my friends and see what comes to me intuitively.
Okay.
And there was a while where I was before I launched my business as like readings for purchase. I did readings like pay as you wish because I wanted to start practicing, and also I
Mhm.
didn't feel like right just starting out with my business or readings and saying like, "Hey, pay me $100." Like that didn't
Yeah,
seem right
yeah,
to me. So I
yeah.
tried to go like at a glacial pace, but honestly, there are different ways you can do it. You could work with a teacher or mentor. You can read up on it. I mean, YouTube. I mean, there's so many resources we can use to learn so many modalities. I
Mhm.
think for things, this is my personal opinion. I think for like modalities like Reiki or where you're healing somebody else,
Mhm.
I think those probably require for good reason like a mentor or a teacher because you're dealing with
Yeah,
someone else's physical energy.
yeah.
Whereas reading someone psychically, we can even do it without cards. But for now, I'm
Mhm.
at a place where I'm like, I feel comfortable using cards. Maybe I'll progress to not using cards, but this is how I do this. And so I think with psychic abilities like card reading, runes, tea leaves, I think it's pretty straightforward, simple to learn by whatever resources you can get your hand on.
Yeah, because I know that a lot of times when I listen to them, they're like, okay, so the color red here is representing this. And I always wondered, is the color red in this card representing this, or is this the reader's interpretation of what it's representing? So I never understood what was coming from the reader and what was coming from like the facts of the cards, I
Yeah.
guess. Um, and I know that like this is all just like from memory of listening, but they'll say like this is the, I don't know, cups in reverse. My
Mm-hmm.
terminology might be wrong here. But so for like basic things like that, when you see the card and know the direction, you can understand it based off of like the principle, or is that something that's also just intuitive?
It's a mix of both. It's hard to
Okay.
explain. It's almost like when you have someone who is a well-known fashion designer, or let's say actually even better, a stylist, someone who's like a really well-known like celebrity or like public figure stylist. They are working with designer clothes or just clothes in general, clothes made by other people, but they're putting them all together to make their own outfits really interesting. That's
Gotcha.
how I see the cards. It's like the cards have their basic the intention behind each card is there, like why they designed it a certain way, what each one may mean. But then when we're in a reading and you draw the cards and you have a certain type of group of cards in front of you, like the selection in front of you, it's up to you to really tap into your gut instinct and intuition of like, what does this card mean for me right now while this person is asking me this question. So it's one card will not mean the same thing across all readings that I do. But
I
there
love
is
that.
that basic foundation. It's like you have the color red. Like if you're working with earthy palettes for a fall outfit, autumn outfit, like the general rule may be use earthy colors like reds and browns and yellows, but you can do whatever you want with that combination of colors. You can have one color with something that's like more monotone, or you could just be all vibrant colors. It's really up to you to interpret what kind of outfit you want to wear or style somebody in. Same thing with the cards. That's how I see it.
That's such a good example. Okay. It's like coming together for me now
I'm
because
gonna start using that metaphor. That was actually not that bad. I'm gonna
that
start
was
saying that.
really good. That was really good. You should make a reel or do like a video on that because there's so many people like me out there that just like don't fully understand that world. I got like the oracle cards and I've done the readings for myself so far, just like channeling intuition and speaking to spirit and just like asking questions and stuff. And I did it to one of my friends, and I kind of get what you're saying because I mean, I just got the deck like a few weeks ago, and I wasn't doing it the way a tarot reading was done. I was like doing the setup that I saw in the book, like doing it very by the book. But by looking at what was on the card and what it said, I was like, oh, okay, I know what this is telling you. Like, I know what this card told me, but I know what it's telling you.
Right.
So I can understand that now. Okay.
Yeah,
It's all
and I
together.
yeah, and I think that and this goes with any psychic ability or mediumship practice, that if we were all meant to go by the book of the cards, then there wouldn't be so many tarot card readers to go see, like options to go see. I think there's a lot of like ourselves that we bring to a reading as a reader,
Yes.
because each of us are so unique. So, and the things we grow up with, our life experiences inform how we interpret cards in a reading for the person in front of us too. There's so much that goes into it. It's a very individual experience.
Yeah. So jumping onto that, what would you say people should avoid or like kind of be aware of before they go into a reading? Because we all know, especially with social media, what I talked about with Catherine, the solicitors out there, and there is such an overload of information. So if someone is like, ooh, I want a reading done, but like they don't know where to start or who to look for, what should they avoid?
Yeah. Oof. So I think buyer beware, 100%. Like if you are on social media and you come across a tarot card reader, really make sure that you like their vibe, follow them for a little bit before you purchase a reading with them. I personally think that a reader who goes into your DMs, which is really popular nowadays with scams and bots, someone going into your someone going into your DM saying, I think you need a reading, I was feeling it. It's really icky. It's not very ethical. It's not ethical at all. Because we are there not for you to need us. We're there to empower you. That's what I really believe we're here for. And so make sure that if you're following someone on social media, you're considering getting a reading with someone, make sure you really like their vibe and that you feel like there's someone that could empower you. And I go to a therapist. I'm gonna say right now, like therapy and all this like psychic work, they're not the same thing. However, it's like finding the right therapist. Some therapists would be good for some of us, but the next person's like, I don't really like that therapist, but they work for me. So it's really about finding someone who works for you. And I think also I think I'm more focusing on like what to look for, because in the terms of avoiding, really just avoiding people who try to solicit you on social media and try to sell themselves to you. It's different if someone's like putting up reels or like and publishing about their content or their readings, but if someone's going into your DMs or trying to tell you, hey, I want to give you a reading, here's my website, like please buy a reading, I would say tread very lightly or carefully with those, because it's more likely than not we're all making money, period, but the balance between making money and wanting to do good and help somebody, there has to be a balance of that. And in that case, it might be more heavier on the I just want to make some money kind of side for that reader.
Yeah. I think the one thing that really bothers me sometimes is the fear that's induced, because if someone is going out there and is like, you need to hear this, then the person's like, what do I need to hear? Like, is this a sign? And
Yeah.
we are such, like, if we think about even the news, like, we are so fear-based in everything, that I think this community can add, like, we need to add the lightness to all of the like big heavy stuff that's going on. So when I see things that are fear inducing, even on reels and things like that, where it's like, you need to listen to this message, even sometimes I'm like, shit, okay, let me listen, because now I'm scared. And it
Mm.
definitely can get into our heads versus like, what do I feel when I'm hearing this information? Like, do I feel good, or am I like fucking scared out of my mind? I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
I think
and
that's something to look for. Sorry to interrupt. Like, something to
no.
look for people if they're looking for a reader. Always go with how you feel when like you're receiving information from someone, even if it's not like the best of information. Are you feeling safe? Then it's okay. But if you're not, then run.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And I think something that's been bugging me is when like I'm on Instagram and then an ad pops up, like a sponsored or boosted ad. If you're seeing this, you were meant to hear this reading. It's like, well, of course I was, because you bought
Yeah,
my view, on my Instagram view. So
yeah.
it's and I think something else to be on the lookout for is if you book a tarot reading, or before you book a tarot reading, make sure you know what you're getting, because like for me, I as a tarot reader, I prefer not to. I don't want to diagnose anybody's health. I don't want to tell somebody they have cancer through a reading, or they have COVID, or whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
I would just, I just, or pregnancy. For me, I don't touch pregnancies. I have a friend who is very good at predicting pregnancy. So I tell people, go to him if you want to find out. But for me, like, so know what you, again, buyer beware, know what you are purchasing, know what kind of things they read on. Do they focus only on love and romance? Or do they also do
Mm.
career and home ownership, whatever it may be? So just know what you're getting, and because each reader has different comfort levels as to what they want to read on.
Yeah, and I like that you brought that up, because that kind of ties back to what I wanted to talk about before, of like, everyone has their own way of doing something, and I think as a society we like to put people in little boxes, and if they don't fit the box, we're like, you're a fraud, which isn't true. So what you were saying before about your siblings, and they see spirits, but someone like you're still a medium, but you don't see them. And same for me, I am more like, I'm like hearing things and feeling things. That's more of like how I'm going to convey a message. If I close my eyes and I'm in my zone, I will speak for a good 20 minutes, close my eyes. I don't remember a thing I said, because it wasn't me saying it, but I
Mm,
won't see anything. And I think a lot of people want to put that in a box, or like, oh, you're not enough. So I think a good message for people that are not sure of their own psychic abilities or anything like that, just like, trust what's yours. And the
totally.
same with tarot. Like, you're not doing the pregnancy stuff, but someone else is, and that's okay. We're all allowed to have our own little thing in our own way. But anyone listening, don't put yourself in a box. Like, no one has to put themselves in a box because society or whoever is telling you this is what being a medium is, or being a tarot reader is. I don't know. Sorry, that was just like a little tangent that I picked up from before.
No, 100%. And I just think about how, well, okay, I'm gonna reference two very famous psychic mediums that I just love and adore, and that people may have their opinions on them, but I adore Teresa Caputo and I adore Tyler Henry,
Mhm.
and I have seen them both live in person doing readings. Teresa, I've seen
Wow.
like 5 times. I really, really love her. When I get a chance to see her, I go see her. And Tyler Henry, I've seen once. And Teresa Caputo, the Long Island medium, she is, out of things I've watched on YouTube, things I've seen in person, she is so freaking on point, and she's so crazy. She's just so connected. I think we all have different degrees of connection.
Mhm.
However, there have been times in her shows where she said something, the person's like, I don't know what you're talking about. Maybe they'll find out later what she meant, or maybe they won't. But to some people, that maybe seem like, oh, she made a mistake or she failed.
Yeah.
Tyler Henry, the same thing happens. And these are two people we see on TV, and that's the thing, TV edited. They're not going to show the moments. Like in a reading, there are so many moments where there's a pause for like 30 seconds of silence as I try to
Mhm.
channel or try to get the next thing. They're not going to show that on TV. They're going to bore their
True.
audience, right? So we have to stop comparing ourselves to the people we see on social media in reels that are edited on TV. it's really about finding like what works best for you. Like, do you feel comfortable channeling like there's some people who their talented ability is to clear attachments, for example, negative attachments.
Mm-hmm.
Someone like Teresa Caputo probably doesn't want anything to do with negative attachments. She only wants to channel things in the light. But
Yeah.
that doesn't mean the other person that their job is less important than hers is, because they're trying to release people from attachments and heal them.
Mm-hmm.
But that's up to each of us. Like, what are we comfortable doing? And it doesn't make one better than the other. And there are different types, like various levels of ability. And like Teresa Capito cannot see, from what she's said, she only sees shadows. She can't see actual like full figured people. So does that
Yeah.
mean she is less talented than my sibling who has seen full figured people? It's such an individual experience. And again, it's like find the medium or the psychic that vibes right with you, and really don't compare yourself or a psychic medium or a psychic to what you see on TV, because it's all edited, all edited.
Yeah. Yeah. And we need to separate ourselves from like what's true and what are we seeing on TV.
Yeah.
There was something you said that I liked, and it like totally slipped out of my mind. This always happens when I'm like so into the
Me
conversation.
too. I get
think
it.
about something and I'm like, no, I'm gonna go this way. I'm not sure, but we can just move on. And I know it's gonna come back.
It'll come back.
I wanted to talk about your podcast. So it's Third Eyesight, correct?
Mhm.
Third Eyesight.
Yes. Yeah.
So for people that may not fully understand, can you break down kind of like what your third eye is, like in a simple kind of way?
Sure. So the third eye, in spiritual history, so to speak, like it's between the pretty much your eyebrows, in the middle of your forehead, but between your eyebrows. And according to some spiritual belief systems, it's a chakra. It's a part of your body, of your spiritual body, that is in tune with your psychic ability and your ability to connect with people through non-physical energy, and with the other side as well. So usually it's associated with I'm going to say purple, but some people may be like violet. I'm not sure if it's violet, if it's purple, but that in the realm of those colors.
Mm-hmm.
And it's interesting because it sits between, I believe there's your, I'm not super well versed in this, but there's your throat chakra in your throat. And then there's your third eye chakra. And above that is your crown chakra, which is like connection to the divine.
Mm-hmm.
So it sits right in between the part of you, or your spiritual body, that desires to communicate, and the part of you that is connected to the divine. So it's that bridge between those two. And I think it's what it's what is meant to help you connect with that part of yourself, and that part of that divine, sorry, that was my dog, the divine part of what's around you.
So did you do anything specifically to like open your third eye? Because something that I like really advise people against when they're like, I want to open my third eye. I'm like, baby girl, let's start at the root, because if you're jumping straight to here, this might open and then your house is going to fall apart, because it's going to be like, and there's no foundation. So did you do anything, or do you have like techniques that you do, or was it kind of just like the natural, thing that just has been open for you since childhood?
Yeah, I think there's several factors. I think openness is a huge part of it, especially because I grew up being open to all this. It really helped with the third eye being open as it is, the way it is. But something that I did a lot when I was starting to do readings for people, and I still do this, I try to meditate before I do a reading. And I used to meditate almost every day, like just when I would start my day. I don't do it as often anymore. I like to get back to it. But meditation for me, what I feel when I'm meditating is, yes, I want to open my third eye, but I'm also focusing on meditate and during meditation and grounding myself with that root chakra. So it's like that balance I'm trying to strike. So I think meditation is, I know it's referenced a lot, meditation, but it really does help, because what you're trying to do is quiet. I don't even want to say quiet, because when I meditate, things will come up in my head, like my grocery list, the bills to pay. And I'm like, okay, no, that's there. That's okay. Just swipe it away. So it's less about quieting the mind. It's more about like surrendering
Yeah.
and not worrying too much about the things that you feel like you need to attend to at the moment. Like those things can wait 5 minutes. You don't have to pay the bills in the next 5 minutes, really. You
Mhm.
know, unless it's like 11:59 p.m. and you got to pay your Chase credit card at 12, whatever. So,
Yeah.
but most of the times you don't have to worry. The things you're worried about, they can wait 2 to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Um, so meditation has helped me. I think also honestly surrounding myself with other people, like-minded people who are
Mhm.
interested in this stuff or practice this stuff has really helped
Yeah.
me. So I think my self practice, community, and my openness, I would say those three things have really helped. So I don't think it'd be right for me to say the only or the best way to open up your third eye is meditating, period.
Yeah.
But like maybe that's a beautiful thing to say, but it's really, there's so many factors that play into it. So many.
Mhm. And that's on honesty right there. Um, but no, I love that. And I love how you talked about your grocery list coming up in meditation because I'm a yoga instructor and so many people are like, I can't meditate. And I was like, because you see meditation as being like nothing in your head, like quiet. And
Right.
that's just not, maybe for some people that's realistic, but it's just being at that, like in a state of like, okay, like just flow and
Mm-hmm.
be. And sometimes that is super hard, even as me, a yoga instructor, when I'm trying to meditate, sometimes I'm sitting there like, no, I'm fucking angry right now. And I'm going to sit here and I'm going to be angry. Then I'm like, okay, no, let's try to get away from it. And you do have the inner battle, but it's
Mm-hmm.
sitting there and being with it and taking time to be with the thoughts, be with the feelings and surrendering to it and surrendering to it, you know, the thoughts that are coming up. And that's one of the most important things I think that helps having an open third eye is that surrender because you're allowing the state of flow, you know, to kind of come in. And if
Yeah.
you're closed off and you're judging your thoughts and you're judging, you know, everything that's going on in your mind, how are you going to let in what isn't your mind? How are you going to let in all that outside stuff if you're judging what's happening with you?
Yeah.
So I think surrendering is just like a huge key like tool to use overall and you know just being open and doing your little flowy stuff.
Yeah. And honestly, if meditation for you looks like going for a walk and putting your phone on airplane mode, that's okay too. You don't,
Yeah.
I mean, is it very nice to sit down on the couch and close your eyes and meditate? Yes, it is. But sometimes what I do is meditation before I do readings. Sometimes go walk my dog outside in the park for like 20 minutes and I just talk to my spirit guides or
Hmm.
I just enjoy my surroundings. And for other
Yeah.
people, I like to think that if someone can sit down and watch a sunset and enjoy it, they can also meditate. That could be the meditation. So
Yeah.
it's really about whatever helps you feel like you are in the moment and present and not thinking ahead or looking back. I think that's what meditation really boils down to.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. And I know that you said what helps is your like self practice to keep like your third eye just connected and stuff.
Mhm.
So, what does a day for you look like as someone who has a whole ass real adult job, does social media, has a podcast, does readings? Like, what does a day for you look like?
Honestly, I mean, I would like to say I wake up and meditate for 15 minutes to an hour. I don't. I don't do it every day. What I used to do, well, first let me say what I do, then I'll say what I used to do and that I want to get back to. But what I actually do, I wake up, I do my pre-workout, have my pre-workout, I go to the gym. I love going to the gym. And then I start my work day and I'm working until 5 or 6 p.m. And then depending on the night, I have a reading to do that night with like one-on-one with a client, or every other week I do live readings on Instagram one night of the week, bi-weekly. I'm filming social content. So it's something that I used to do though is I used to wake up Monday through Friday. The first thing I would do is journal for maybe 3 pages in a notebook or like 15 minutes. And I call my higher power God, capital G. It could be different for someone else too. That's okay. But I would do like writing to God, like just like everything that I'm feeling that I woke up with. If I'm angry, I'm pissed, I'm sad, I'm happy, I'm worried, I feel lonely, whatever it is, I just write it down. And with
Mhm.
that, honestly, the year that I did that was changing my life because I wasn't going into my day bearing everything that I woke up with. And as
Mm,
someone like myself, I struggle with anxiety. So it's like it really, really helped me. And it's not the only solution for anxiety, but it just helps so much. And so
yeah.
I would do that. I would write. And then after when my timer went off, I reached page 3, I would close the notebook and I would meditate for 5 minutes. And I really miss doing that. And I think I have let life gets so busy or seemingly busy that I haven't made time for it. But I'm also doing okay. Like it's I don't think there's a hard and fast rule. Like I'm not gonna judge myself or beat myself up for not doing that every day,
Yeah.
but I like to go back to it. Um and that's why I said I think I don't know, maybe the gym has been that for me recently. I don't know. I don't feel like I'm missing anything by not doing what I used to do with the journal and meditation,
Yeah.
but I really would like to add it back to my day because it's a huge bonus. But yeah, honestly, I'm just a regular Joe Schmo, just doing the daily things, the gym, work, and yeah, eating.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I love it. You're just so like genuine, and I
try.
love it so much. But what I love that you touched on is that you're not beating yourself up for not like journaling and stuff, because
Hmm.
what we've talked about back and forth a few times is like the obsessive stuff that like can happen once you enter the like healing or spiritual or self-help, even just that world can get like a spiral, like a tunnel.
Yeah,
Um, so I think it's really good that you keep that balance of, okay, like I did used to do it and I do want to do it again, but it's okay that I'm not doing it right now.
yeah,
And that's something that like I feel like I'm in a constant battle with myself of like when do I need to try, and when do I need to try to like help myself, and when do I need to evolve and grow, and when do I just need to take a step the fuck back? Like
yeah,
when do I just need to chill and like surrender now? Like I did the work and now I can let it go. But I think I harp so much on like the work, the work, the work. But
hmm,
then it's like, am I helping myself or am I hurting myself? Because I just can't stop the trying to fix. And I think that comes from a place of, another wound at the end of
hmm.
the day, like trying to constantly fix yourself. It's coming from not feeling good enough or worthy enough or whatever it may be. Again, sorry, another tangent, but
No,
I think
yeah,
that's like one of the biggest things that I wish I knew in the beginning of my journey of learning, oh shit, I need to change some of my behaviors and I need to grow and, help myself, but I don't need to kill myself trying to better myself. I can
yeah.
just also be and live and exist, and that's okay too. So do you
Well,
have any like tips for people? Speaking of me, do you have any tips, advice for me?
yeah, well, it's interesting because I have a tip. I was thinking about this as you were speaking, but before I get to it, what you were saying about like well, we've been saying about beating ourselves up for not doing the thing. I mean, I grew up like I said in a very spiritually progressive family, but I did go to Catholic school and then to a Protestant school.
Mm,
Um for is one for middle school and for high school. And I was a born again Christian in my teenage years to college, like really I was also in the closet and in the closet gay man. So there's a lot of complication, a lot there that happened.
a lot to unpack.
Yeah, when I was a born again Christian, I was pushing myself to go to Catholic mass every week and I would go to confession. And looking back, I know that I did it all out of fear. Like I was afraid of what would happen to me if I didn't do those things. And also like I needed to be the perfect religious person to win the approval of my higher power. And
Yeah.
so it's interesting because what I'm starting to starting to realize is in this realm of whether we want to call it new age or spiritualist, there are sometimes conversations I've had with people where they say you have to do it this way. This is how you get enlightened. And I'm like, this is what I ran away from.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
let's just like let people do what works for them. And this is the tip that I have. It's not so much a tip as more like maybe an insight for myself, but for whoever it may help. Each day, liking yourself more or being more comfortable being at home within yourself is a good day.
Mm,
Whatever helped you get to that point, it worked. And just don't fix what's not broken.
Mhm.
Because I've struggled being in the closet and then growing up feeling just like comparing myself to other people. I struggle with, I'm getting really deep now, but I've struggled a lot in my life with knowing my own self-worth. And I am now at a point where between therapy and my spiritual just belief system, I'm feeling like I'm starting to like myself more and more and more and more.
Oh,
And in the last year, I have not done a lot of meditating, but I know that I'm a better place in my life with myself now than I was a month ago, a year ago, 3 years, especially 10 years ago.
yeah.
And that works for me. And you know, who am I to tell somebody, or who is somebody to tell me like, oh no, you're not doing it right though? Like, no, but I'm happy. And that's
Mhm.
all that really matters. And we're here to live a human life, to be curious and to try things out. And I don't think there's one fast rule for everybody. So yeah, that's my tip. Like whatever is helping you feel more safe within yourself and loving yourself, just go with that. And if you
Yeah.
want to add to it, that's fine. But as long as it feels good to you, that's all that matters.
Yeah. Oh, that was really good. And I love that you're feeling better in yourself because it's always crazy. We look at ourselves and we could say X, Y, and Z, but I could look at you, someone who I basically just met, and I'm like, of course you're worthy. Like, of
Oh,
course you should
thank
feel good in
you. We all
yourself.
are. You are too. We
Yeah,
all
thank
are.
you.
And I think
Yeah.
and we're living in a world that through marketing, fear-based, like you said, whether it's the news, social media, advertisements that tell us like what we have is not enough. You need more.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
in so many aspects. Something you said before came up twice all day today, and you said, don't fix what's not broken.
Mm,
And today I read something that said the reason why you're not changing is because you're trying to fix something that isn't broken. So maybe that's a sign that I
there
need
you
to.
go.
I'm going to write that down because when I saw it the first time, I didn't just like see it and disregard it. I felt it. And when you said it
Mm,
again, I like felt it. So that's
wow.
something that I need to definitely take with me. Sheesh.
Thank you,
But
universe.
yeah, that was you're totally right. Fuck the rules at this point of everything. I feel like there's so many especially, and I'm not like shitting on these people at all. Like I'm not judging them, but there's so many like this is my routine and it's very like ba 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 ba, and you're getting the like the green juice and the workout and the 10,000 steps and the journal and the meditating. And from someone watching it, sometimes that can feel overwhelming because you're like, I didn't get my 10,000 steps. Like, am I not doing enough? Or, oh, I didn't meditate today. Shit. Like, I didn't do enough. And it's so easy to go into the, like, one, comparing on social media right now is just
Yeah.
a lot, but also the, like, the checklist stuff. But I love what you're saying of just like, I'm not hitting my checklist. I'm not. And like I'm happier than ever because that
Yeah.
just shows that you're actually practicing the work that you already gave to yourself.
Oh my
And
gosh. Yeah. That's a
that's like
really good
how
way to put it.
that's how it feels like it's coming across. Like you did the work and now you're living it. You're not just staying in the classroom. You're like out in the field and
Wow.
you're living it now.
I've never thought of it that way. That's actually really brilliant. That I've never thought of it that way. Yeah, and I was gonna say something, but that blew my mind. I forgot.
I'm I'm happy though. I'm glad that that
That's
resonated.
such a good way to put it. Yeah, oh yeah, what I was gonna say is like, you know, the being part of like a fitness community, like a class is great. Being part of a class to learn a psychic modality is great. It's good to be in groups. And
Mhm.
there's a part of us, I think, as humans that like to be validated by other people engaging in the same thing that we are. But
Yeah.
if it gets to the point where like I think sometimes it can get to the point at which when we tell other people how to live life to be happy, to the
Mhm.
point where you almost like evangelize or try to like convert them, it's like at that point we're seeking too much validation. Like we want, like we should be secure in ourselves that what works for us works for us. It might not work for other people.
Yeah.
Um, and I think that that's at the point at which like the validation, it's us seeking a little too much validation from other people. Like you have to do what I'm doing, so I know that what I'm doing is okay. That's honestly what I hear when I see people really trying to
Yes.
convert other people in this world, like in the psychic realm of things and new age. It happens a lot. And it's like I
Yeah.
said, it's funny, it's ironic that I grew up in a Christian, like in Christian environments and born again, like evangelize the world, convert the world kind of Christian
Yeah.
environments. came out of closet and now I'm in this world and I'm seeing similar things. It's like, no, let people do what they need to do, to let them live their journey. It's okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I was listening to Kim Kardashian today on Jay Shetty's podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and something she said really stuck with me about how when we're with like our family in any aspect, we're very patient. Like if we think about our parent, well, maybe not patient, but we understand that they might not be where we want them to be, whether it's health wise or their activities, and because we're their kids and we're gonna sit there and nitpick because we want them to be healthy and we want them to do all these good things. But then like with lovers or friends or whoever it may be, we feel this need to like bring them to where we are,
Yeah.
especially in the like spiritual world. I see that a lot, and I caught myself. I got checked real quick in the beginning when I first did, and I was like, ooh, I'm not doing that shit again, which was a good lesson to learn for sure. But
Mm-hmm.
I think that's something that we need to take of that episode was really good with them. I'm like advertising another podcast right now, but Jay Shetty, Kim Kardashian, it was really good. And she just talked about how genuine compassion and understanding for someone is understanding that and allowing them to get to where they're meant to go in their own time, and
Yeah.
not bringing them to where you are in your time. It's just
Yeah.
letting them find their own way. And I think that's just really important for everyone in every aspect of life, not just spirituality, but even in the fitness community. Like just because you're bodybuilding and you're going on this meal plan and you're doing that, not everybody wants to do that, and maybe it's not everyone's time. And
Yeah.
I think she just reframed compassion and understanding in a way that made me really take a step back and be like, damn, Kim
Yeah.
hit it head on.
Yeah, and look, like sickness, as dramatic as it sounds, like sickness of the soul is real. Someone can be super fit on the cover of a magazine, but yet they're unhappy. We know this. They're unhappy. Like,
Yeah.
and like, it's really about like feeling at home with yourself and safe within yourself. And someone who tells other people, like my grandfather, may rest in peace. I'm looking at his picture now, but he's like my fitness idol, and he was a really cool guy, but he was also really critical of people's appearances, to the
Yeah.
point he would tell them like, you shouldn't eat that, or you're getting fat.
Mm-hmm.
And but I know he never shared this with me, but I know that someone who feels the need to tell people things like that, they don't
Mm-hmm.
feel safe in themselves.
No.
Because you wouldn't, if you felt safe in yourself, secure in yourself, you wouldn't care what the next person is doing, because you have your body under control. Why do you have to worry about someone else's body?
Yeah.
um so, and that's a very dramatic example, but I think that's true. And I struggle with body image dysmorphia majorly. So
Mm-hmm.
I it's like something it's a daily struggle. And but I know that to be true. It's like the little monkey mind's like, no, but you look this way. But I know
Yeah.
that we project all the time, positive and negative things. And so anyways,
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm going now. I'm going on a tangent, but yeah,
That's okay. Tangents are
yeah.
accepted here, and I just want to wish you the best of like inner peace with the body world, because
Thank you.
we are ripped apart left and right all the time from every outside source, and it can be really hard to just like literally have a body in this time, like for
Yeah.
everybody I think that I know has struggled with body image at some point, and it's sad, but again, it's something that it has to just come from within. There's one day, hopefully for all of us, there's going to be that switch that flips, that we're like, okay, I understand it now, and I'm confident in myself regardless of what I think I look like, because it's all what we think. Again, the same with self-worth. Like I'm looking at you and I'm like, hello, like beautiful, gorgeous, fit, worthy. But then you
Thank
look at
you.
yourself and you probably, nitpick and tear yourself apart. And I do the same thing. And that's like what so many of us do. And it's just, if we could look at ourselves through the lens of literally anybody else, we'd be like, oh, I get it.
No,
Okay.
yeah.
So yeah, I just wish you all the love in that area,
Well,
because
thank
I
you.
understand how like freaking hard it could be. It's not a fun place, but you deserve all the love.
Thank you so much. And it's like we were talking about with the third eye. Like when I told you, like being surrounded by like-minded people, like who are interested in psychic ability and supernatural, that helps open my third eye. It's the same thing with body image. Like the more I surround myself with people that want to nitpick and are just only focused on their appearance and not on bettering themselves, the more I'm gonna be like that with myself. So
Mm-hmm.
we have to find our people that we know will love us for who we are, who will support us. Like we have a fitness journey, they can support us. That's fine, you know. But
Yeah,
like, yeah, it's so who we surround ourselves with and what we consume, and it's so important.
a
Yeah.
100%. I completely agree. Um, so the question I ask to all the people that I have on my podcast before it's over is, if you were standing in front of the entire world and they were all actively listening, what would you tell them?
Wow. I've heard you ask other people this question. I thought I would have an answer, but like immediately, but I have to think about it for just a second.
Take
Um,
your time.
um, honestly, people might expect me to say something really esoteric, like you can be a medium too, which yes, I would say that we can all be mediums. But honestly, just like right now, like this is our home, our planet. We have to take care of it. Like we need to love this planet.
Yeah.
Um, and if I could say two things at the same time, number one is we are all spiritually connected, and number two, we're connected to this planet
Mm,
spiritually too, and this is our home. Um, yeah, I mean, there's so much going on. There's always something going on in human history, but like today with social media, we like know about everything that's going on across the world, and
yeah.
um, it's just like, I mean, what there's so much to pick from war to like, but like I feel like just the way we're treating the planet. And I'm not perfect. Listen, I do buy fast fashion. I do what I can.
Hmm.
I just bought my first pair of vegan leather shoes. Like so I'm
Hmm.
doing what I can, but I'm not perfect. No one is perfect. And it's
Yeah.
just doing what we can to be sustainable or help the planet. But if I had the megaphone for the entire world, I would tell all of us like this is our home. We have to
Yeah.
really take care of each other and of it.
Yeah. I love that message. I always say, like, we're as connected to each other as we are with, the birds and the trees and the sun and the moon.
Hmm.
We're all just literally a bunch of beings and things and experiences happening. So I love that you said that.
Yeah, and we
Um,
take the world for granted. Like you were saying, the birds and the trees and elephants and tigers. I mean, it's also beautiful, and we really do take it for granted. This is a planet we live on with all these beautiful things that a
yeah,
lot of it is dying, and it's like we we take it for granted so much. We just see it as another home to create borders and and factories or homes, and
yeah,
it's so much more than that.
yeah. And if Florida's listening right now, do a better
Hmm.
job at recycling, because they don't
Oh
really
yeah.
have a very good system here. Just saying.
Oh,
Um,
are you based in Florida?
Right now, yeah, right now I'm in Florida,
Yeah.
and I'm
I grew
like,
up in Miami, so that's where I grew up. Yeah.
okay, I'm in Fort Lauderdale right now.
Okay, okay, cool. Yeah,
I love
I grew
it.
up my whole life in Miami. So,
We like switch spots. I'm from Jersey, but I'm like
okay.
15 from Manhattan, so I'm like, we did a little swap.
And I'm from Miami. I'm 1 hour for Fort Lauderdale. So
I,
it's funny.
I love it. What are the freaking odds? But yeah, not very good at the recycling and taking care of the planet down here. Which I'm like,
Mm,
we could do a better job, especially because we're right near the ocean. Like, we're
yeah,
right here.
yeah.
Come on.
I remember a lot of what you're talking about when I lived there. Yeah.
Yes, very infuriating, but it's okay. Hopefully soon.
Yeah.
Um, and I just wanted to give you the platform for people to follow you, like where they could find you on any social media websites, if they want to book a reading, anything like that.
Well, thank you. I on social media, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. I don't use Twitter though, but anyways, at Juan Third Eye, and then my podcast is Third Eyesight, like Gabriela said. And you can book a reading with me by going to my website, juanfranciscospirit.com.
Yay. Well, I want to say thank you so much. You brought up so many topics. I feel like I could talk to you forever.
Same.
Um, so many good topics, and I feel like overall we've hit on like find your own find your own wave, find your own beat of your drum. You're worthy. and
Yep.
just float.
Yep. Just go with the flow and be yourself. Do what makes you happy. Exactly. Well, I had so much fun with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, have a good night.
You too.